Right, ladies and gentlemen, in Researcher Development 1, we are here with a very exciting video. Alex is here with me. You want to say hi, Alex?
Hey everyone, I'm in my office today.
And I am at home, so we are kind of co-recording this. This is a really short video, okay? Basically, it's an introduction to a video that we want you to watch from YouTube, or at least the first 10 or so minutes of that, which we'll explain in a second. This is a video about writing. This is our other major theme in the unit alongside reading. In terms of the foundational skills we want to try and help steer you with. And we're going to jump straight into it by introducing you to this guy. Oops, sorry, I'm having Zoom problems at the moment. Oh God, there we go.
Here we
Alex,
are.
do you want to take over and explain who this is?
So this is Larry McEnerney, everyone. This is someone Jack and I really admire. Larry is the director of the writing program at the University of Chicago. The University of Chicago is a world-renowned university, and the writing program is something that was set up to help develop the craft of writing amongst colleagues. But interestingly for us, it was developed not, as you'll see in the video, it was developed not specifically with undergraduates or postgraduates in mind, but rather it takes a top-down approach to thinking about writing. That is that the people that we ought to be teaching how to write most are the professors, the people who really have to do that kind of bulk level production of text all the time. As we've said in other videos, as a researcher, you're a professional writer. And so it behooves you to know how to use the written word really well. And so we're going to get you to watch this video, or at least the start of this video, called The Craft of Writing Effectively, which is essentially a masterclass being taught by Larry McEnerney at the University of Chicago. And in particular, we're going to get you to watch the first kind of 13 minutes or so of the video. Feel free to watch along through the rest of the hour, but it's particularly the first hour, the first 13 minutes that we're interested in you watching.
And I'd just quickly point out as well, sorry there, Alex, I'd quickly point out the words that are on the blackboard. Reader, text, world, about. You can half see the words write and think. So just carry that in your mind. You could even pause it and take a look at it. But those themes will come up again for us later.
Yeah, but the reasons for getting you to watch the start of this video and to watch the rest if you like, is to really get you to start thinking about the act of writing and the craft of writing for you as a researcher. Getting you to start thinking about the reader, because that is the fundamental message that Larry McEnerney and that we in the MRes want to drive home for you, that your job as a writer is to think of the reader. And there are 3 points that we want you to get out of the first 13 minutes of this video. And the first is that writing is a really difficult task, a very difficult skill, especially in the world of research. As we've said before, as a researcher, you're right up against the edge of knowledge. And the material that all of us are dealing with as researchers is incredibly complex. It's very difficult to think about. And so it kind of makes sense, therefore, that it's very difficult for us to write about it in a way that helps readers. So we've got this very difficult work to do. And we're writing at a very high level where we have to take kind of every possible consideration into account when we're trying to drive home our conclusions. And that difficulty means, of course, that every one of us, including faculty, including the great professors of the world, need help with their writing. They need kind of coaching, just in the same, you can think about it in the same way as even professional sports people have coaches to help them perform at their best. This is the way we like to think about reading and writing in the MRes too.
Yep, and Larry's going to say that this is not, the course he's teaching is not a remedial course. It's not about things that people should already know. It really is high level. And he goes on, the next main point we want you to sort of understand before you watch this is that he talks about how you've got a set of major challenges, because as even at your sort of postgraduate MRes level, you are now an expert writing about a topic, or you're a topic about which you are an expert. No, you are writing about a topic on which you are an expert. And it's really, really hard to communicate that. You can do terrific research, but if you can't write it up, or you have great difficulty writing it up, then that research can struggle to make the impact that it should. You also have this big challenge of two different modes of writing, and this will make more sense when you watch the video, but you're trying to write to help yourself think along the way in all kinds of ways. But then you need to write a text in different ways. The final text that will be given to readers, whether that's an assessment or a journal article or a report or anything like that, readers, and you can see this on the third bullet here, readers have certain cognitive expectations when they read. And we're really not trained to understand that. And we'd like to introduce you to the second sort of saint in the pantheon of good writing, and that's Judy Swan, who is at the Princeton writing program, Princeton University, and she's the Associate Director for Writing in Science and Engineering. And we're going to deal with one of her articles on what's called the science of scientific reading in week 0, but it really applies to all reading. So writing's really hard, and you've got a set of major challenges. And that brings us to the third key point we want you to sort of take from Larry.
And that is that, as I mentioned at the beginning, like, we need to think about our readers. One of the things that we need to kind of remember is there are rules for language. There are rules about how to use language more effectively than less effectively. But all of those rules are secondary to the effect we want to have on our readers. And this is a big change for you coming from undergraduate work. As an undergraduate, most of the writing, if not all of the writing really, that you will have done has been for a reader who's paid to read your work. That person is your lecturer, your tutor, whatever. They are literally given, this is one of the things that Larry talks about in the videos. Those people are literally given money to read your work. As a researcher, that stops. People are no longer paid to read your work. And in fact, people have to be convinced to read your work. And you are the person to do that convincing. What you need to do to convince people to read your work, especially to continue reading your work, maybe they'll look at your abstract or whatever, is to create value for them. Now, we're going to theorize this much more as we go along. And if you watch the video of Larry McEnerney talking about writing effectively, that's one of the key themes that he will develop, is about what value is for readers. But it's one kind of important way to think about it in terms of making your way through research and development 1 is that for a reader, value lies in thinking better about the world. Our job as researchers is to develop knowledge, and that knowledge, in the very first instance, is for other people, particularly other researchers, so that they can think better about the world in their own research projects. Of course, we want to have impacts elsewhere, maybe in community groups or government or medical practice or wherever it is that we want our research to land additionally. But in the first instance, we need to create value for our readers, and that value lies in helping them think better about the world.
So that's all we want to prime you on. This is the final slide, and all of the instructions are on here. Basically, you should pause the video now, just keep this open, maybe scroll back to the previous the slide that we just had up. Open the video in a new window. The description is in the link below, and watch it until at least 12 minutes and 57 seconds in. That's a natural kind of point, a transition point. There's a reflection down the bottom, a prompt for reflection down the bottom. It's not compulsory, but we'd encourage you to do it. So with that, we'll pick this conversation up again in week 0. That's bye from me.
And bye from me. Enjoy the video.
Now we've got to do that awkward thing.
Oh no, we've got that awkward kind of staring. Here, let me do something really interesting for everyone. I'll go like this. This is how we're going to end the video now, everyone.